So I'm just finding out today that one of the victims in the New Orleans terrorist attack was an ex-convict. He was from Slidell, Louisiana, which is about 30-40 minutes from the CBD of New Orleans, where everything went down at with the terrorist attack. But he was actually living in New Orleans, according to his family, who said that he had just got released from prison. So the reason I'm making this video is, of course, this is a crime and prison related channel, The Pen and the Shank, where we discuss all things crime and prison related. But the fact that it's so close to home because it even affects ex-convicts. That's right. This dude was just on Bourbon Street celebrating, or he was just strolling around. I don't know what he was down in New Orleans for. More than likely it was to celebrate. His family said he was homeless, but he could have been out there, you know, because there's a lot of homeless people in New Orleans, and they lay down wherever they can lay down with their boxes and their mats. But it's a little bit harder to do that during a time like New Year's, because the police are kind of policing that type of stuff. And so it's not as easy to lay down as a homeless person on Bourbon Street or in the French Quarter without the cops running you out of there. So more than likely, Elliot was celebrating his New Year's on Bourbon Street by having a good time, possibly with friends. I don't know the whole story. I just know that they said he was recently released from prison. So he more than likely was in, you know, one of the various different prisons that are operational in Louisiana, like a satellite camp. I don't know, maybe he got released from a state prison. Either way, he was probably on probation or parole, unless he did his sentence flat, which a lot of people in Louisiana do. But what I'm saying is, this terrorist attack touches all types of people. It hits all kind of people everywhere. Nobody's immune from it. This dude who was hell-bent on, this dude Jabbar, who was hell-bent on inflicting pain to the community, he did exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted to do more because they found IEDs planted in ice coolers throughout the French Quarter. And at first they said there was more more suspects. And then they said there wasn't more suspects. We don't know what the truth is. You can't really believe the FBI, as they've proven to be not just inconsistent, but flat out liars. And they seem like they're more against the American people than they are against terrorism. It's a sad thing to say, but that's a reality. But my man Elliot, who I don't really know, Wilkinson from Louisiana, who one thing I have in common with him, well, I have a few things in common with him. I lived in New Orleans, right? He was from Slidell, which I lived in Slidell, and he was an ex-convict. I'm an ex-convict. He was recently released from prison. I don't know what his charges were. That's probably a whole nother thing to uncover, but we're not talking about that right now. We're just talking about the fact that he was a victim of this massacre in New Orleans, where the terrorists killed 14 people and wounded 35 other people. It's real close to home, right? I'm from New Orleans. The Pen and the Shank broadcasts and operates out of New Orleans, so in the surrounding areas. So Elliot was someone who was inside the prison systems in Louisiana, so our heart goes out to him. His family said when he got released from prison, he was homeless. So they, you know, he kind of wore it heavy on his shoulder because he didn't want to be a burden on his family. I get it. I didn't want to be a burden on my family, but he was homeless because they said it was really out of his choice, because he had a mental health illness. And this affected him with not wanting to receive any help from his family. He has a brother and a sister who both responded after they found out that he was one of the victims in this massacre, this terrorist attack in New Orleans, and they shared their thoughts on him. His brother said that he was going to miss his brother, and that he's sorry he had a hard life, and he admitted that he had mental health issues, and he was recently released from prison. The only picture that I can find is the same picture that's circulating on all the major news networks, and I'll put a picture of it right here, is Elliot. And it looks like he's holding, maybe that's his child, maybe it's a niece or a nephew or a friend. I don't know the whole story. I'm sure we'll uncover more stuff as time goes on. But to me, in this picture, it looks like Elliot is still wearing his prison clothing. It looks, in Louisiana prison, exactly what you see him wearing in his photos is exactly what you wear in Louisiana prisons. The blue shirt, little white shirt underneath, the pants, and if you look closely, you can even see the belt. That's the type of belt that they issue in the state of Louisiana prison. So it's possible that this picture is a picture of him on the day he was, or one of the days after he got released from prison, and this is the clothes that he was wearing. I don't know this to be certain, but this is just an observation that I made. But what I do want to say is to the victims we want to just take a moment of silence. And that's what we do on A Pen in the Shank. A lot of channels don't do this, but I'm always going to say this, and we're going to do this from here on out. We're going to always remember the victims. So we're going to take a moment of silence for Elliot Wilkinson and all the other victims who lost their lives tragically to the terrorist attack on New Year's Day in New Orleans, 2025. All right. Thank you. That was our moment of silence to pay tribute, respect, and let our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of the victims and the victims themselves who lost their lives in this terrible terrorist attack. Listen, I have a lot more to say about this terrorist attack. I think there's a lot more to the story than we're being told. We can get into conspiracies all day long, and I believe there's always conspiracies. You can call people conspiracy theorists, but it seems like the conspiracy theorists are batting a lot better than the non-conspiracy theorists as of late, because a lot of the conspiracies are proven to be truthful, and we're learning a lot of information. And I don't think this one's going to be any different. I think we're going to find a lot of information out about this New Orleans terrorist attack. They're not going to tell us. It's going to be uncovered. I mean, just look at it. They staged like a museum type thing at his trailer in Texas, that a reporter went in less than 48 hours after the attack. This is an open crime scene, and the FBI just let a reporter in? Come on, man. Ask questions. Be thoughtful, man. Be mindful of what's going on. Pay attention. Don't be scared to to challenge the status quo at FBI, because they're lying to us. They're not perfect, but to say that they're working against the American people, I don't know. But we should have the right to say that it looks like they are. It doesn't look like they're being honest with us. Are there more suspects? Did they lie, sweep it under the rug? How come you let the news agencies inside an open crime scene inside his trailer? It just doesn't make sense. This stuff doesn't make sense. Make it make sense. You can explain it all the way in the way that the FBI does, but it still doesn't make sense. Anyway, you know what? Remember the victims. Elliot, sorry this happened to you. And give me a like and subscribe to The Pen in the Shank, where we're going to, go deeper in this stuff. Anyway, thanks.